What's up everybody, Matt Maran here, and today I'm doing a quick drive video on the 2022 Volkswagen Golf R, but this one has the DSG transmission. I previously spent a week with the manual and came away pretty impressed with the car overall, but with the manual it just felt a little slow. They also get a little bit less torque, and so my buddy Patrick here offered up his Golf R with the DSG here to give it a whirl and see how it goes. I know Car and Driver got like almost a second quicker for the 0 to 60 with the DSG. I think it did a 3.9 seconds 0 to 60 time with these, and so this one has some mods on it as well, so it's not just the DSG, but also the differences here. It has a piggyback tune and a bunch of other little things here, so it'll be a fun little drive. It's been a while since I've done a modified vehicle review here, so I'm excited to give this thing a spin. So we're gonna put it up into the race mode here, so we get a louder exhaust with the active exhaust, which is a stock exhaust here on the Golf R. He didn't change that yet, but so we'll just do an acceleration here and see how it goes here. All right, I'm gonna actually put this into sport too, and here we go. It's funny how it rips as you get higher up into the RPM band there. I feel like it's a little bit different with the character compared to the stock Golf R. So tell everyone what you've done here as far as the power mods first, because that's I think one of the biggest changes, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. So just a couple things that have been done power-wise. Maybe we did the full Racing Line R600 intake and the turbo inlet pipe, and then I went with because right now there aren't any like real tunes out for the car since the ECU is locked. So I went with the Racing Line power control module. It's basically like a plug-and-play unit, but it does give you like 50 more horsepower and 44 pound-feet of torque. Yeah, it doesn't sound like much, but you can really feel the difference. Yeah. So
it definitely. I knew that the DSG was going to feel faster in general, but with that, that's a lot. Because with 50 more horsepower, these do 315 stock, so you're at 365, thereabouts. That's impressive for this little thing. And again, since stock they'll do 3.9 seconds 0 to 60, I'm sure with a launch this thing could be like almost supercar kind of numbers. But before we do a launch, I'm first going to go down one of my favorite back roads here and see how the handling is, because that's another thing you did improve, right? Put some lowering springs on from Racing Line. Yep. And so it's what, less than an inch, so not a huge change.
Yeah, it's like 3/4 of an inch drop. Another Racing Line sport springs. So
yeah, I feel like they didn't even need help in the handling department, but it definitely improves the look for sure.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely what I was going for.
So we even have a little bit of a drizzle here going on, but go around this corner here, see how it grips. Yeah, it does great. And yeah, I love the Golf Rs. They're so flat and they feel so small too. I literally just drove the new GR Corolla, which is one of the big competitors of this, just a few weeks ago, and that also feels very good. But this definitely feels smaller than even the GR Corolla manages to somehow, and I really love the compact dimensions here of the Golf R. It really adds to the experience, I think. But yeah, it handles great, and you're still running the stock tires, stock wheels, and all that.
Yep, exactly.
And Mark 8 Golfs, they got for the Golf R, they have bigger brakes, they have two-piece, rotors and stuff now. So it definitely, helps in the braking department. But I'm not even going to be pushing them really. It's just nice to know you have extra braking power, especially since you now have more power. And you had, Mark 7, and that had an actual tune on it, right? So was that more power than this?
Yeah, so that was the 2018 Golf R was Mark 7.5, I believe they called it, the facelift. Yeah. So it had the APR Stage 2 tune on it, so I had the downpipe and everything with that. Yeah. I'd say that definitely had a little bit more power than how this one is set up and how it is right now. Yeah. And that one was quick, but this one I feel like how it is for some reason is just a little bit quicker than that one, how it is set up right now.
Yeah. And the motor is a little bit more stout, right, for these new ones as well? So
yes.
A little more confidence pushing it, I'm sure, than before.
Yep, exactly. And I'm sure once the, if we get the downpipes for the car and do like actual software tunes, this car is it's gonna be up there. Yeah. So power-wise, definitely my goal is to have this be one of those fun cars again, where you can go against like the Hellcats and things like that, like I have done in the past with the last Golf R. So I definitely want to keep those numbers up, but keep it practical at the same time.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be a sleeper, even though you have some of the mods so that people know it's not just a normal stock vehicle. But I'm sure you take a lot of people by surprise in this thing still.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so we're going to try out a launch here and see just how much power this thing can do. Launch control active. All right, there we go. That pulls pretty good. And that was your first time launching with the new tune, right?
It was. That was good.
Man, yeah, this thing, it's punchy. It's subtle though with the way that it does it, because just with the the DSG and the way that it's kind of smooth, it doesn't really bang into gear. It's not very violent with the acceleration, but it's quick. I mean, we got up to speed really fast there, and yeah, this thing runs strong. We're also in boost weather here in the fall. It's like 40 some degrees out right now, so it's loving this weather, and it's just eating this up. But man, yeah, this thing, it's punchy, and I see it's doing like 29 psi now. I can't remember the stock.
That
PSI.
number is wrong. You have to do the mathematics on it. I think you have to subtract 13 or 14.7 or something like that to get it, because they lied to you on that.
I gotcha. Well, it looks fun at least whenever it's maxing out this little boost meter.
Maxing out at the wrong number.
Right. But, man, yeah, this thing, it's a rocket. And since it's so grippy and just so planted with the all-wheel drive, it just really gives you so much confidence too, though, that it doesn't feel like it's overwhelming the car or anything. Like, it feels like this could totally be a stock power level. Yeah, and it still feels well-rounded,
Yep.
I'm going to try some manual shifting. There's no actual manual mode, though, right? Just pulling the paddles.
Yeah, there's not. So just select one of the paddles and it'll put you in the gear you want to be in.
Oh, crackles and pops.
Yeah.
That sounds nice. Yeah, nice and quick. They always do such a good job with this. I had no complaints with the past, Mark 7, Mark 7.5. They were always so good with this DSG, and so
puts a smile on my face every time.
Yeah, and I love how it's, even on the overrun, it keeps doing it too. And the previous generation didn't really do that, really, right?
Yeah, so the previous one did not have it unless you got a software tune to do that.
Okay. I love how it grips and goes out of corners too. It's really no drama though with the way that it does it. It's just goes. Just totally, yeah. It feels like it's like the GTR of hot hatches in a way, where it's just does everything insanely fast.
It's like you want it to go and it goes.
Right.
No questions asked.
Yeah. It sounds so good. I also really like that intake too.
You definitely hear it a lot more.
Yeah. So yeah, other things though, I mentioned earlier how you've, done some exterior mods as well, and this is the only Golf R in the country with those taillights, right? So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so the taillights are actually, they're an OEM Volkswagen taillight, but they're like the clear, I think they call them like the IQ light. So they give you obviously the LEDs, but they're also dynamic turn signals. So I want to do obviously a huge shout out to USP Motorsports. They're down in Pompano Beach. They offered to basically use my car to demo those new taillights, so I was able to get them. So I don't even believe if there's any other Golf Rs right now that have the clear taillights on them currently, because they're not really out yet. But huge shout out to them. They actually did a lot of the other mods as well. They did the dynamic turn signals on the mirrors. They did the matte carbon fiber intake cover for the R600, and then they did the PCM tune as well.
Yeah,
so,
it all looks great. I love those taillights too, especially with the way you've done it with the black. Just really looks nice.
Yeah, and I was torn on the taillights at first because I was going to do like the red ones, and I'm always sold on red. Put a nice tint on them and they'll look good.
Yeah.
And then everybody's telling me how good the clears look, and I'm like, okay, let me see a picture of them. Since they have like a little bit of a black background, and since the car has a full stealth wrap on it, I was like, they just look really, really good. So we just stuck with them.
Yeah, I mean, is there anything else you want to do in the future? I mean, I think it looks pretty perfect the way it is already.
Yeah, so next, I'm going to do wheels. Once I decide what wheels to get, I'm torn between all of them right now, of course. And then, obviously, an exhaust. This one sounds good, but definitely need an exhaust.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it sounds really good. I guess, you can always have more, and
could always have more loud.
It would be fun if, you could get a tune so that it has even more crackles and pops and amp that up for sure. Cause it has them, but it certainly could have more, even like these lower RPMs. I wish it had more, But nice.
Usually the happy period is like 3,000 to 4,000 usually.
Yeah, I noticed that with the S3 too. It's like that was kind of close to the sweet spot there.
But it's a great car. I mean, I know that a lot of people, especially on the forums or when the Golf Rs first came out, everybody was like, nobody liked the infotainment system.
Yeah.
I've obviously lived with it since May of this year, and I like it a lot. I have no huge complaints on it. It's super easy to use. It's easy to see everything. I mean, I always use wireless Apple CarPlay, but still, you can see everything and access everything. Obviously, there are a couple little quirks with it and things like that. I do wish that they wouldn't have like the heated and ventilated seat options on the screen, like have physical buttons for those, because I feel like I'm either touching those more than anything. And then instead of having like your temperature controls up top, maybe put like the fan speed there, because you have to obviously hit the climate and then adjust your fan speed there.
Yeah.
It's just easier to just swipe it in one spot.
Yeah, that would make sense. But I'm impressed that you haven't had the complaints that like everyone else, like myself, has had with, you know, trying to touch that. And then I remember there were so many times I would just accidentally go down on the climate when I'm trying to touch the heated seat and stuff.
Yep.
But I guess that's just muscle memory. Like, you just have to build that up. And this is why it's great to, you know, talk to owners of these vehicles, because, you know, having a week with a vehicle certainly helps, you know, to do a good review, but it's also, you know, you don't live with it long term like you have. You know, you've put over 7,000 miles in this. You learn the car, and so it's good to hear that it's not the deal breaker that maybe, you know, myself and others have even made it out to be in the past. You know, it's not bad. And then, honestly, it's a really nice high resolution screen, and you know, the wireless CarPlay is great, and I'm glad that it's better, because, you know, I think these GTIs and the Golf Rs are really great for the new generation here, and so I'm hoping that, you know, people can learn to, you know, live with the infotainment and still enjoy the, you know, the great cars these things are.
And one other benefit that I really like about this is the heads-up display.
Yeah.
So, which right now, I don't know if you can see it too well over on that side, but having that definitely helps as well. You know, I'm not always looking straight down into the digital cockpit.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's another thing, though, is are there any other things you don't like about the vehicle after living with it for 7,000 miles?
Not really.
Yeah.
I mean, everything I really like. I mean...
What's your favorite part, then, if it's all good?
That's a tough one. I think, honestly, I like the digital cockpit with all of the different settings that you can go through and change all the gauge clusters.
Yeah.
When you're in the Nürburgring mode, I believe it is, when it changes the RPM gauges to the very top, whenever you're peaking, like the time to shift, it actually changes it, like your line, it'll go from like yellow to green, and then obviously you're maxing out at red line, so obviously you hit red. So it kind of shows that across there, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's those little things that, you know, some people might think they're gimmicky, but I think it just adds some fun, you know, and it's easy for them to do, you know, from the factory standpoint, because it's just, you know, lines of code essentially and a little bit of graphic design, and it's just cool that they, you know, do those kinds of things to spice it up a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah, because you don't want to be staring at the same thing forever, because that just gets boring.
And it does kind of feel kind of next generation as well, having that extra adjustability that you didn't really have as much of with, you know, the Mark 7.5.
And I know, like, a lot of people complain about the steering wheel where they accidentally hit a button on there and it, you know, turns something on, but I honestly have not had any of those problems. I mean, I physically am pressing the button or gliding my finger over for the volume. Like, it doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah, that's great. Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's basically it. I mean, you know, otherwise, if you're curious to know more about the Golf R, you can watch my full review, and I did an interior review as well to dive into this interior and all the details of it. But, yeah, I'm just here to say that, you know, even though I was a little underwhelmed with the manual and its, you know, power, obviously the tune in this one helps, but, you know, just having the dual clutch in that faster 0 to 60 is going to make, you know, translate into a faster feeling car. And so if you are someone... That was the loudest. I'm surprised that that's like stock, with every once in a while it gets like really boisterous. That's great. But yeah, I'm just, you know, I think, honestly, even though every single car I've ever bought has been a manual, I think that I would go for the DSG for these, because I think it's the better transmission, the better pairing for this car.
Yeah, it's definitely a difference, and I will say it's definitely, obviously, because my last Golf R was also a DSG. This one's just much more smoother and refined, even though it's still a 7-speed like the last one was.
Yeah.
This one is just much, obviously, smoother, refined, and things like that. I will say it is very close to Porsche PDK. I mean, if you've driven Porsches that obviously have the PDK transmission, they're like lightning quick.
Yeah.
This, I feel like, is like right below it, like one little step below it.
it's impressive. Yeah, I haven't had any opportunities to drive the brand new PDKs or any of the newer ones, honestly, so I can't say, but yeah, I mean, it seems plenty quick. Like, I've never been, you know, wanting it to be faster. You know, it's always right there. I mean, it's a little lazy sometimes with like the upshifts, but
yeah,
that's also because I'm like, you know, a quarter throttle. If I was, you know, full throttle, it would be right there. So yeah, I think that's great. I mean, you even said on the drive up you were getting what, like 33 mpg or something?
Yeah, 33.5 miles to the gallon was my record. I was pretty happy about that. Yeah,
with 365 horsepower, basically, that's impressive, and something that can, you know, keep up with supercars almost in a straight line. You know, it's very, very impressive. But anyway, yeah, so I think that's about all to say here about the Golf R, and so huge thanks to Patrick for letting me drive the vehicle here, and definitely check out his Instagram as well if you want to follow his journey with the car, and check out the review on his last Golf R if you're curious for that. I'll link that above there. But anyway, thank you all very much for watching. Thanks again, Patrick, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.